guinea pigs sooner or later. And they just, we only went in a couple houses, but in every house, they had guinea pigs. And, you know, they're very special. Incas have eaten them for centuries, but more recently, the appetite for them has spread. Was that on the menu when we went down to the Peruvian restaurant down in Hyannis? Did we see guinea pig on the menu?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
What's the name of the restaurant?
Pardon?
Tumi ceviche.
Tumi Ceviche. Is that the guinea pig in the?
That's the guinea pig right
up in
here.
the corner?
Yeah, there's another one. You know, and so guinea pig, Peruvians eat an estimated 65 million guinea pigs a year. There is a painting in the main cathedral in Cusco of the Last Supper, and Jesus and the 12 disciples are eating guinea pig. Painted right in there. But one of the articles I read was the boom in guinea pigs is helping lift farmers out of poverty. It used to be only the mountain people in the Andes raised them, but it's come in. And so, in fact, our guide, Frank, his family, he was born in the hinterlands of the Andes, and his family's moved in up into one of those hillside communities around Cusco, and they raise guinea pigs. And that's the tradition they brought in from the higher Andes. But, and they are, I did read, when I was reading about this, I did read that the U.S. market is looking good for guinea pigs. So we'll see. You may find it at a Kentucky Fried Guinea Pig.
Did you find many Americans or Europeans that moved to Peru?
You know, I don't know. I saw a lot of tourists in Cusco. I mean, you know, so, I mean, I don't know how many are kind of living there and trying to make a living, or they
the British guy lived there, right? The guide?
He did. And so Andreas was our British guide, and he had one child when we was there. So I Googled him when I was down in Peru, and he has 5 children. They're all grown. His oldest son is in his 40s. The one I met when he was 4, and 37 years ago, and is living in Melbourne. And I think Andreas is living in New Zealand. I tried what I could to get a hold of him. I sent a Facebook message to his son. I sent a couple of the touring companies that said he was one of their guides, but he's never gotten back in touch with me. But this is, now all us ladies, that would be our kitchen cupboard. So that was one of the houses we went into. I love, this was the outside of these people's house. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about this. So, as I said, we broke off on the third day of our hike. After we went to the hot springs, the Machu Picchu people went to Machu Picchu, and 3 of us had a homestay. We stayed in the home. Well, I didn't want to, I was tired, so I decided not to hike the 5 miles from the hot springs up to the home. So I had got a ride with somebody. They called somebody to give me a ride. So I waited about 3 hours for the other 2 people to come, and I was there alone with a family that really only spoke Quechua. There was a little bit of Spanish. They had more Spanish than me, so it was just a lot of looking at each other. But this was, I was out in their garden, their yard, and I just love the way, well, that's where you, I guess, where your storage for your little dolls. This was the inside of their house. So that's a pot there, and I mean, that was their cooking area. That's a piece of wood, I guess, going into that little stove area. So, you know, tonight when we cook on our gas and electric ranges, kind of be thankful.
Is that like in a cave?
That's their house. It wasn't a cave. That was on the other side of where that doll was.
So it's like stucco or something?
It's kind of like mud and stucco, yeah.
Was it comfortable ventilation-wise?
Well, this wasn't where we stayed. We did not stay the night in this, but this was really a traditional kind of mud hut with, you know, rocks on the outside. Guess what? Another guinea pig. There's a gas burner there, and these are, I do not know what these gourds are made of, but definitely, and I'm not sure if that's their native liquor, you know, their fermented liquor or what, but something makes me think it is. So while I was waiting, the family decided to dress me up. So there I am. And I think that, well, So you can see that textile right there, because I said, I want that. And see, she's wearing little sandals. There's another picture, I think this is so idyllic. Oh, they live in the mountains, what views, because we know what it would cost if we were living in Vail with this kind of view. But it is a hard, hard life. There's a part of me that would love to send money back to this family in some way, but that's the father, and that's his daughter with me. And that's the room we stayed in. So that was their bedroom. And it was really in a nicer house, but that was the upstairs. And so the three of us were together, me and two other women's husbands. And I knew, I know those women, We were all, I thought, well, how do I say it? I'm not going to, that was us. So I was in a double bed on this side. I'm taking the picture from the double bed. Those are single beds. But I tell you, a hard rain seems like would kind of have trouble. I did read that in 1950 there was a major earthquake in Cusco. Now, I was just in Anchorage. What day was it? The 26th, the morning of the 27th of December. I went to Anchorage I went to Alaska for Christmas, and we had a 4.9 earthquake. I was in my bed, and I was asleep, and it jerked me awake, of course. And then I don't know if I fell back asleep and I was dreaming, or it just seemed like a pendulum slowing down. That bed seemed to just rock, So I think that doesn't look like that would make it through a big earthquake. A lot of the Incan structures are strong enough. They've withstood earthquakes for thousands of years, not thousands, hundreds. But this is the bedroom we stayed in was up here. That was the door, and that was the outhouse right there. That was their running water from the stream below, I'm sure. And that was our dinner. That was another house, but you can see that too is kind of just sod or mud, but they cooked us a dinner, and they cooked that dinner in another house. And now you're seeing that. Look what we're looking at. Those were our servers, the girls, the children. And those the potatoes we had. Potatoes were
guinea pig?
I don't think we had guinea pig. I don't remember. We might have, but I don't. I think we didn't because I would have remembered. So that was the morning, and so the morning I was woken up by those chickens. They'd walked up the steps, and when I opened the door, they were all ready to come in that bedroom. So that must be the pattern for the family, that the chickens, are upstairs with them. But
Well, we got turkeys, so.
well, then you're right. We have turkeys.
Tastes like chicken.
So that was the three of us. John, Todd, and me, and that's you see that all over. That's their blankets where they anytime they see you stop, the women open up their wares and sell you whatever you'd like to buy from them.
Where did they get the material to make all these?
That's a good question. Like I bought this piece over here. Now that could have been made in China for all I know, because these were not. These were local. But because they seem local. But I don't know if they dye it themselves or what. I've got a little section on that. Here's a woman dyeing. Those pictures should have been up earlier when I was showing the animals or the camel family. So there's someone they dye with natural dyes still, a lot of them, and so obviously that looks like a green pot there, and you can see all the colors here. But this is at a little display area where they show you how they.
Do they make the fabric themselves?
I believe they do. I think from the start, the alpaca and the llama, and then they dye it, and then they weave it. Here's a woman. Weaving, and you see those women in a lot of different places. They would be weaving. So I'm showing you this picture. This was me trying something. I think it was alcoholic. I don't know where we got it from, but the reason I'm showing this is, look, I'm kind of I bought that from one of the ladies on the road, on the trail. I bought that, my little purse that I carried everywhere. These were beaded eyeglass holders, and I wore them every day, and they were an integral part of my day. But I couldn't tell you where they are in my house right now. So I just think that's interesting sometimes when in Rome, do as the Romans do, how at least with things I've bought, I use them when I was there. They served a real purpose, but they don't really serve a purpose back here at home. So,
Kathy, what were the prices like?
pretty cheap. In fact, I love buying stuff because I made people smile. I can make people happy with, none of those were more than a couple dollars. They were pretty cheap. That's the last picture I have. If we need another way to display books in our library, that
It's not really displaying the books, though.
I'm going to make one of those for my magazines or so, but I have not done that. So I think that is all that I have for this slideshow.
What's the climate like there throughout the course of a year? Do you know? It's obviously high elevation, so I'm guessing it's kind of cold and dry.
I forgot, what months were you there?
I was there in April.
April,
This
yeah, that's
in 18, and in 81 I was there in October. So I was there in spring and fall because April would have been the fall season for them.
On April, they were wearing quilted jackets.
Yeah, we were up because we were up high. I mean, I don't think Cusco's at about 11,000 feet. Machu Picchu's only 9,000 feet. So, and we went up to as high as 15,000 feet. I don't know what the average temperature is, but I don't think it varies a whole lot from what I've seen. I'd have to look and see how close they are to the equator, Yeah, Charlie.
How hard was it to breathe in Cusco?
Cusco wasn't so bad, but when I was hiking, as I said, sometimes it was step, step, and then breathe, breathe, step, step, and breathe. And I wasn't the only one doing that.
Well, that's 15,000 feet.
Yeah, it was 15 now, but I didn't think Cusco at 11,000, I did not have a problem with that.
So did you prepare your hiking?
Yes, I did, as much as I could, Yes, I did prepare.
So I got the impression that it's mostly agriculture and tourism that sustains the country.
I would say so. One of the things I found I didn't take as many pictures of is some of the agriculture on those trails that we hiked, because there were a lot of people out in the fields. They're paid, but again, it was fall, so it was the harvest had probably already happened, so they might have been preparing the beds for the winter to come.
So Amazon hasn't moved in yet?
Pardon?
Amazon hasn't moved in
Right,
yet?
right. That's a good,
The photography is beautiful. What kind of camera did you use?
well, for the first few pictures, that was a Nikon camera that I had bought, that I still have, but it's defunct, because it's film and whatever. Most of those pictures that you saw from 2018, my iPhone. I took 15 pictures with the little point and shoot, and I couldn't tell you which ones if I included any, but I wish I'd taken some pictures, many more agricultural kind of pictures, because we saw, you'd be in the mountain, up on the trail, and you'd see the corrals that they built, to keep some of their animals in, because they bring them up during the summertime, and let them, like in Switzerland, they bring them up to the top of the mountain in the summertime, and then bring them lower in the wintertime. So
Is there winter or summer and then summer and winter?
yes.
So you were actually the first time there in the
First time I was in the spring, correct.
even though it was
Right.
close, okay. Is it mostly mountainous?
Well, in the Andes, going back to you can see the green. But when I look at that, I've only known this little section. Other than when I went to Lake Titicaca and down here to Arequipa, where the Nazca lines are, and we flew over those. I've just been in this little area here. I mean, here's this is the Amazon going through part of Peru. So there's so many different cultures, so many different topographies that are just, I've never even thought about going to. And so here's the equator up here. I see it now. So it's not that far from the equator. So yes, the temperature is going to be pretty steady, except for altitude's going to make a difference, I think.
So we always talked about Montezuma's revenge.
Oh yeah.
Did you have any trouble with the food?
Not this year. I did. In '81. I had a real problem, and I just remember I had room service because I didn't want to go out that night. And this was 37 years ago, and I was so afraid they were going to bring me chicken soup with the feet stuck in them, and that would make me lose it all again. And they did not. That was the best chicken soup I think I've ever had in my life that night. But that's an old memory. Oh, and the other thing one of the things that's really lovely is here's the town of Pisco, where the Pisco sour. Are we going to have some Pisco sours?
We will have. Yes, we will, and definitely at the feast.
Okay.
So, I'm also
Those
going to
were
try
good.
and get some Andean or
It's
some
an
beer.
alcoholic drink, and I don't even know I can't remember what it's made of, but I mean that's the town of Pisco.
Pisco is it's the local
Right there, and that's supposedly where the Pisco
the sour,
sour.
yeah. But the Pisco is sort of like the whiskey or the
And they're sweet.
akavit
I like a
type of
sweet
thing
drink
of the
myself,
region. Yeah, so.
So what did you eat when you were on the truck?
Well, whatever they cooked us, and I don't, but it's mostly vegetables and some meat. God knows I ate guinea pig on the trek for all I know. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Here I am. I think of all the trips that I have been on, and I didn't always take detailed notes, and I'm sorry I did not do that. But one other thing to say. So at the end of my 1981 trip, we were at a cafe, and this Peruvian woman that knew the guide, our British guide, came up, and she was on her way to Nepal to meet her boyfriend, who was American, but he was working the summer trade in Peru and going to Nepal to work the Nepalese summertime climbing. So I made a goal right then and there in Peru that I was going to go to all 7 continents. So that was the beginning. So Peru was my third, and then finally in 2017 I did complete and go to my last remaining continent. So it took me how many years, from 81 to 2017, just to get all those continents in.
So when are you going to the moon?
All right, when am I going to the moon? I'm not going to the moon.
You go to Antarctica?
I went to Antarctica in 2005.
And which one have you not gone to?
Well, I've gone to all of them now.
Oh, you've gone to all of them?
I finally finished. I finally went to Africa.
Oh, wow.
With the same travel agent that put together this trip. She put together the Africa trip.
And this is why we have Kathy speak all the time, because she's been everywhere.
Tanzania.
Is it great?
I loved it. It was amazing.
Safari trip?
That was a safari trip. I'm going to South Africa next month for 3 weeks with just another girlfriend. And I will say I'm scared. I'm going, why did I say yes to this? Because she had to rent a car and we're going to drive in South Africa. And that can, you don't want to do it at night, and you want to make sure your car is working, and there's, so.
You're brave.
I'm brave. I'm a fool.
We're going in the fall.
Oh, to South Africa?
We were going to rent a car, but because of that danger that I hear about driving in the cars in South Africa, I didn't do it because you're brave. It's interesting to hear about your experience.
Well, let's hope I come back to tell them. Let me tell you, I'm a nervous worrier, so I don't know about so much about kidnapping, but robbery.
Oh.
It's a poor country. It is very poor in certain areas, and you never know. I shouldn't share my worries, but I am worried. Well, not that worried. I'm going. So that'll be the next adventure, and I'll try to take notes and details so I can tell you what I ate, so I can tell you where I went.
Are you going to have a guide or?
No,
Okay.
no.
What's your itinerary?
We're going to Cape Town for stay near Karoo National Park, and then we're gonna go down to the coast to go on a hike. So we'll be with a group there, or with guides there, and then we're gonna go up to Addo Elephant Preserve, and then we've got